Yeah, because look, some guys may welcome having that thing that they can do for 4 hours a day, 4 days a week that is other than just sitting around the house if they are indeed complying with the stay-at-home orders, which is a different issue altogether involving Dak Prescott, which we will delve into yet again now. And Big Cat, as you mentioned, while I was providing the daily disclaimer, we're here to provide a distraction from the pandemic. There is overlap between the pandemic and football, and there is a significant chunk of overlap as it relates to Dak Prescott and the Dallas Cowboys, because Prescott broke his silence on Tuesday, 4 days after he reportedly hosted a party. This was a TMZ report that had photographic evidence of food that looked like it was intended for more than a few people, and also people who were maybe clustered a little more closely together than they should be. And there were some other allegations made of up to 30 people at Dak Prescott's home for a birthday party for a friend. Dak Prescott came out and issued a statement. It was sent to us and others. I understand and accept that there are additional responsibilities and media scrutiny that come with being an NFL quarterback, but it is very frustrating and disappointing when people provide completely inaccurate information from anonymous sources, especially now. To set the record straight, I know that we all need to do our best to socially distance, and like everyone else, I am continuing to adjust to what that requires. But the truth is that I was with fewer than 10 people for a home dinner, not a party, on Friday night. That's Dak Prescott's statement. You can see it at profootballtalk.com and react to it there. And look, this meshes with what someone close to him said in the aftermath of the TMZ report of a party of up to 30. There were fewer than 10, and social distancing was complied with at all times. But there is a different issue here, Big Cat, and I think it's important for people to understand this. If the people at his house weren't people who live with him at his house, he was providing a way for people to violate the stay-at-home order in Texas by leaving their homes and coming to his house. And that's not a technicality, right? Everybody should be staying home while we keep the spread of the virus under control. And if you're having a dinner or a party or whatever the hell label you're going to apply to it, and you're having people leave their homes in violation of the stay-at-home order and come to your house, that's a problem. And when there are millions of people who are complying with these requirements in order to limit the spread of the virus, protect family members and strangers and anyone who it could make incredibly sick or kill, it is a little bit glaring when the quarterback of America's team isn't complying with it. And it's amazing to me how many people violently disagree with that, to the point where I wonder whether people really are listening to the Dr. Fauci's of the world, really do get it and understand what need to be done, or are they just so frustrated by the situation they're going to blow off steam? Even though they ultimately do comply, they want to yell and scream at anyone who reminds them of this existence we're now all trapped in.
Well, I think it's hard for people to fully grasp what's going on. So I'm not surprised that you've had a negative interaction with people online who basically say, Florio, you're being a stick in the mud. To me, it's more, let's just say Dak Prescott had 8 people. And you're right, like letting other people into your bubble then compromises people outside your bubble. It's pretty clear what they've told us about this disease and what you're supposed to do and what you're not supposed to do. And he did exactly what you're not supposed to do. Let's just throw all that out to aside for a second. It's actually, to me, a simple judgment thing where Dak Prescott, read the room. That's more my issue. If I'm Stephen Jones or Jerry Jones, it's simply like, hey, you're supposed to be the quarterback of the Dallas Cowboys. Read the room. Figure out what's going on in the world, and don't be the guy who screws up and has everyone yell at him. We had that weekend back in like mid-March. I think it was right around St. Patrick's Day, where the nation kind of, flipped and realized what was going on. And there was that weekend where everyone was getting shamed for going out. And I think a lot of people went out that weekend not realizing the severity of this, and they almost not get a pass. They do get a pass because they didn't fully understand it. But if we're 3, 4 weeks, 5 weeks into, here in New York City, where I think there's a start of week 5 of basically being trapped in our homes, and you're doing a party like this, that just is such a glaring, lack of understanding what's going on around you. And that's more concerning in a weird way if you're the Cowboys than breaking the CDC guidelines, which is clearly more concerning in a big, global issue here. But if you're the Cowboys, you're like, Dak, what are you doing here, man? Like, figure it out. Like, even if you want to do it and have no cell phones, like, we'll never know. You shouldn't do it, but at least we won't know. the fact that he had cell phones there, people were taking pictures. I agree with you. There's a lot of food, more than there should be for 10 people. But in one defense of Dak Prescott, I'm an over-orderer when it comes to parties, and I like to have leftovers. So maybe that was what he was going for.
And this party, this dinner, whatever we want to call it, it came in the aftermath of two different situations where Dak Prescott and Des Bryant were working out outside of their homes at facilities that should have been closed based upon local and state orders for staying at home and shutting down non-essential businesses. And the first time they worked out, it was capped with a photo of five guys draped arm in arm, which clearly was tone deaf to social distancing and stay-at-home orders. And then they did it again, and the evidence kept showing up on social media because Des Bryant is more interested in getting a job than he is in complying with the stay-at-home orders, and Dak was caught in the middle of that. So if you weren't already sensitive to the issues before the two different occasions when you left your home to work out with Des Bryant and got called out for it, well, that makes it even more glaring that you have people come over to your house and have a dinner or a party when everyone should be staying at home. And I'm with you. Like, at what point is it not an excuse to be oblivious? This is the one thing that has affected all of us in a very profound way, even if you don't watch the news. At some point, this issue is going to land right in the middle of your radar screen, and natural human curiosity is going to get you to try to figure out exactly what this is all about and what's expected of me. And it's not all that hard to figure out what's expected of you. And it's not all that hard to comply with what's expected of you. Stay at home and don't have anyone come over to your house because they're all supposed to stay at home as well. And I agree with you from the Cowboys' perspective. It's not like they're rescinding the franchise tender and they don't want him to be their quarterback. But at some level, you got to have people in that organization thinking, what the hell is wrong here?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, listen, I agree. And you're spot on. But I also, I remember being, how old is Dak Prescott? 25, 26, 27? I mean, how old is he? Somewhere in that range.
That time frame, mid-20s.
Yeah, right, mid-20s. I remember being in my mid-20s. I remember thinking that I had figured out, all of life. I remember thinking that I was invincible, especially if you're a pro athlete who is kind of invincible, health-wise in a lot of ways. So it's hard for me, as stupid as this was, and he should be criticized because guess what? Being criticized in this moment will actually probably help spread awareness to more people. But I will also step back at the end of the day and be like, hey, I know Dak Prescott is probably thinking to himself, there's no chance that this thing will affect me in any way. And I can't blame him because we all at one point in time were walking around with that, 25, mid-20s confidence that we were invincible and that nothing could stop us. So I know what that felt like, and I'm not going to sit here and be old man yells at cloud like you, Florio, and not at least give him that decency where it's like, I've been in that spot, and I would be foolish to tell you that I was, wise and mature when I was in my mid-20s to be able to listen to these things.
Two quick points. Number one, this isn't doing something stupid that just endangers you, like riding around on a motorcycle without a helmet. It endangers other people. And I think that's enough to bust through that sense of invincibility you have when you're a professional athlete in your mid-20s, early 20s, whatever the case may be. And number two, the fact that there have been so many voices early in this process who, for reasons that still aren't entirely clear, although I think some of them were doing it simply to cater to their main audience and for profit. The people who were spreading BS, the people who were grabbing the microphone and saying this is just the flu, this is no big deal, go about your lives. When I'm in my early 20s and I want to go about my life, I grab onto that message. That's the danger of that message that people in the media were spreading, and they know who they are. That when you spread that, you empower people who are looking for any excuse they can to live their lives the way they want to live their lives, and they are glad that you're saying that because it gives them the license to do the thing that deep down they know they maybe shouldn't do. And deep down, I think Dak knows he shouldn't have done it. Deep down, Stephen Jones knows he shouldn't have done it because he said yesterday on 105.3 The Fan, we've certainly communicated with Dak and Zeke. Ezekiel Elliott was also at the dinner or the party or whatever it was. I think they're certainly aware now of how sensitive these situations are, and I don't think you'll be seeing that anymore. That was the word from Stephen Jones, son of team owner Jerry Jones.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.